32 poets, 32 poems, outdoor voices in an indoor world. Volume 13.
I told myself I would never write a poem about you. See, I decided that I did not think that you were worth the waste of one of the world's most precious commodities that we call ink to write down, let alone verbalize all the lies you told and all the things you put us through. See, even when I came close with my pen actually grazing the page, nothing came. I guess I didn't want to have to face my pain. I guess I had to be inspired to catch my flow. But see, for the past 34 years, you have put a fire in me that has inspired me to do nothing but cry or maybe curse freely. Now, for whatever reason, here I sit rolling off with verse after verse freely. Don't get me wrong. I know that things between us could have been worse. It's not like you were the kind of father who beat us or touched us in that nasty way, but you were the kind of father who did not touch us in any way, and we still love you anyway, and I tried to hold on to the love that I had for you in any way that I thought possible. Contemplating how it's possible for one daughter to love you so much, to remember every aspect of you all the way down to the feel of your touch. But for the other daughter to have no happy memories of you at all, but still didn't hate you at all. Trying so hard not to, but remembering all the empty promises you made. Saying you were coming to see us day after day, which turned to month after month, which turned to year after year, but yet you still never came. Empty promises made to my mother of the child support that you finally found the time to pay, but you still never came. And we still never hated you. Even to this day. Recently, two close friends' fathers passed away, and I felt so inadequate because I could not find the right words to say, because see, they had real fathers that they lost and not sperm donors that they lost, and now my brothers wander in this world because you blazed no trail for them to follow. Chose to lead them aimlessly to wander in this world and gave them no type of map quest of understanding. And I guess it eventually just became too demanding because mentally their worlds just fell apart, and now they must pop pills every morning just to give their day the possibility to start. And now that I have my own child that you still have yet to know or see, I find myself pondering how you can bring 11 beautiful souls into this world and then in the blink of an eye to decide never to go near them. But after much searching of my own soul, I realized that every soul in this world has their own sole individual purpose, and maybe yours was to solely bring 11 beautiful souls into existence, but not to rear them. Love, in my life, being the only emotion that I will allow myself to feel. And see, I wrote this poem as a tribute, but not a tribute to you. This poem is a tribute to me, to set my soul free. To forgive you for not being the father that I needed you to be so desperately, but could not be. It took so long for me to see. I just need to love you anyway. But I will never, ever forget your ways.
I loved cooking breakfast for you. Loved that there was no morning after, just morning. Loved that I knew that you were not a sausage or a ham girl. See, you loved bacon. You loved watching me cook bacon. That daring distance dance with the fork in my hands, because who dares stand still when they cook bacon? Your meal was dependent on your mood. So I could tell what you wanted to eat just by looking at you. If you was perky, well, you wanted something light. Maybe an omelet with veggies and cheese, no meats. You didn't want a heavy stomach in your way when it was time for you to take on the day. If you was chilling, it was chef's choice. I could whip up whatever I wanted in the kitchen, and if you were brooding, eyebrows furrowed, and disposition burrowed deep into the earth of your feelings, I knew you wanted something hearty, heavy, like your heart. So you could slosh around the house afterwards and sleep the pain off. Often, we'd eat in silence. Words unable to describe just what this intimacy tastes like, until one day, with a silence was the single loudest thing I ever heard. Louder than the scrape of dining room chairs away from tables across hardwood floors. Louder than when bumpers kiss bumpers in traffic and orchestras of horns spill out of trucks, coupes, and four doors. Louder than an unanswered knock on doors on a vacant corridor that morning. My knuckles echoed your name through your wood and you were nowhere to be found. Turns out, you were on a date across town. And while I know you are no stranger to breakfast date, I also know that you are not used to a stranger cooking your food. See, they don't know. They don't know that you like your cheese on top of your eggs and not scrambled throughout. They don't know that you like your pancakes burnt around the edges. They don't know that you like your bacon slow cooked and crispy, which is why cooking bacon for you was always a risky thing because I had to get it just right. And I always got it just right. And this stranger, tucked away in some industrial kitchen, doesn't even know your name. The man sitting across from you doesn't know that you hate French toast, but you ate it anyway because he paid and you didn't want to be rude, and you've always been so considerate. Can you tell that I was cooking breakfast when I wrote this poem? It's almost like I can't cook breakfast without thinking about you. Like you are the most important meal of my day. You are the only diet for my thoughts. My mind feeds off of memories of you. Your smile sticks to my eyes like hot grits on skin. I'm reminded of you when I hear the ding of the ovens when the biscuits are done. I hear your voice every time I hear the ding in the oven when the biscuits are done. And I'm reminded of you every time I eat my sister's baked apples. How you were sweet, soft, tender, and warm me up just like the coffee you never finished. One time, before my brother and I went out for the night, I cooked us breakfast for dinner, because who doesn't like breakfast for dinner? And when I arrived at the party, I saw you there. And as I watched you from across the room dancing, I continued on doing what I do best. I loved you like I cook bacon from a distance. Thank you. Yeah.
It's called The Great Replacement. Before I begin, I wrote this poem because I seen this man on Fox News, and he actually wrote a manifesto about replacing the black community many years ago. So when one of them shooters ran up in one of them spots, killed a bunch of people, it got brought back up, and I couldn't believe that I was actually watching this on the news, and it just made me realize just how far we've come, that they would actually show us somebody who wrote up an article about extinguishing all blacks. He's still walking around free. So I wrote a little poem about it. I am grateful to be black, age 42 now, aging gracefully. I came from the bottom. I reminisce at times how I never had to worry about a school shooter. The most danger we were in was security guards chasing us to class, catching us in the bathroom, sneaking puffs of cigarettes in good grass. That was high school. Even younger, I played with toys, ran around in the yard safely. My mom watched from the porch, grandmother alongside her, an extra set of eyes, black guardians, sent us to the grocery store by ourselves with a list and exact change and 3 to 4 coupons, and we better make sure we gave to the cashier before you tell you the total. I ran, I laughed, my neighbors, kids almost was like my other siblings. Racism was hidden more securely back then. I never knew I'd go to bed and pray I'd make it through the night. Wake up, thank God that I made it through the night. After watching 11 black people die and yet another assault, we stay target practice. By way of gun, by way of crooked politician, Fox News supports it, pushing the agenda, move forward with violence on blacks in America. Henceforth, 180-page manifesto found in the suspect's closet, streamed on Twitch. Our life be a game, gone away in seconds. Witnesses tell accounts of what they would never forget. Those visions, they won't disappear. They won't go away peacefully, like visualization of yet another white mass murderer getting walked away easily. Steady, we demand justice. No more marching now, no more protest now. Truth be told, we want a little blood, and some of y'all family members should know how I feel to scrape up funds to put one of yours at the ground. Tears shed over miles of dirt you reluctantly dug, yet we're called savage, average, lower than, but we should be called champion and survivor, fluid in motherfucking triumph over trauma.
Above the washing line, everything's fine. Aviation, isolation doesn't apply. Bird flew blue over long ago. Birds are flying over me now. The world and the words, but not the birds, turned upside down. I'm fighting for sanity. I can only clown.
This is the breakup. And now the only makeup is verifiable watermarks smeared across my face. Laugh lines catch broken foundation as a symbolic end to our once jubilation-filled interactions. Now we've entered actions of contempt. Sound nights missed, but I'm pissed, so you should be too. 76 phone calls and 83 text messages won't explain all I have to say. The middle of I miss you replace a four-letter oscillating words of misuse, because how can you hate the thing you love so much? This is the breakup, where fuck-ups become permanent blunders. The mind wonders if your good actions are pure, then your bad ones, well, they must be too. And now that we don't speak, I resign myself to the notion that I'll probably never hear the truth, but I'm cool. Not like in demeanor, but I mean like temperature. Weathered storms that form cracks upon the solid heart, torn apart to form fragments of the whole person I used to be. Used to see light off in the distance. Now it's like a continuous Alaskan darkness bearing straight to the core of my existence. Because the other girls don't feel you the way that I do. So why should they get to feel you the way that I do? Because when you really love someone, you don't do them like that. If you love me to my face, you should love me behind my back, because I always had yours. Had to open doors to previously closed emotional chambers of this heart that you left heartbroken like not so dry levees that left me broken, a flood of emotion, causing me to have more blues than New Orleans could ever get used to. My heartbeat was the downbeat to our melody, not beat down anybody who had the audacity to try to sing in our key, but our emotional clashes make the screeching sound like from Twisted Metal and airplane crashes. I guess that's the day the music died. And so did you and I. Any attempts to clear remnants of your presence now futile. I can't delete your number if I know it by heart. That's 10 digits, which is 8 fingers, 2 thumbs, all doing their part to diminish my existence when I dial your number and you answer just to say, who is this? Broken heart disease manifested itself in my chest, pneumonia-like compression, the stress of hopelessness literally leaving me breathless, because if you ever really cared about me, you'd have let me go long ago before you ruined me completely for the next man who might actually have the courage to love me in return, because I cannot return to you. Because our bridges have burned like hot tears spurned by cold emotion, digging my shallow nail beds deeply into my skin, trying in vain to literally pull myself away from you. I hope we were more than just art for each other. Or maybe we were just karma for each other. You were my repayment and I was yours. Maybe you were too good for someone and I was the whore, because we're always perfect at the wrong time and imperfect at the right one, so I just move forward instead of moving on. Mornings come about as easily as restless nights when I wake up to realize that this is finally the breakup. Thank you.
Do I have to be murdered for my name to be more than a murmur? Do I have to rise, then fall, before you recognize that I had the greatest love of all? Do I have to have a paramedic trying to resuscitate my body to work before you recognize my body of work? It's ironic that you would love me so much more if someone was to gun me down. What must I do to make you love me now? Poem.
This next poem, it's the first time that I ever wrote a poem for someone. And I believe that it describes a love born of intimacy and unconditional love. And it's titled The Dwelling. Sweet baby, the amount of emotions I have dwelling and swelling in my chest for you, though in such a small cavity, I'm convinced could lift a whole mountain if it were endangering you. I have no idea how to be a mother. I feel ill-equipped to handle such a mighty uncertainty, but I'm confident that I will rise to the occasion. I will protect you. I will listen to you. I will nurture you. I will support you. I will hold a light that burns the midnight oil for you while you masterfully navigate your life. There will be highs and there will be lows. There will be yeses and there will be no's. There will be halts and forks in the road. You may very well question which way to go, and that's when I want you to pause and be still. And listen to the truth that has no words but has an urge from deep within, because the spirit knows. It knows deep down which way to go. Trust it and never give up on yourself. You are my son. You are a child of God. You are my very own seed who I am entrusted to provide an environment for you to grow with a root system so elaborate that even the shepherd's tree might have competition. To me, you will always have the sweetest fragrances before your petals even have oils. You will always have the most exquisite flowers before stems even begin to sprout. Oh, and when you blossom, not even the greatest ensemble could compete with your dance. Bravo. It is my prayer that one day you see yourself the way that I see you, but that you see it for yourself. It is my prayer that you develop exactly to the highest actualization that God has designed for you. It is my prayer that you take advantage of all of the opportunities that seem to you, no matter what. It is my prayer that you develop circles of people who cheer for you and who will be there for you. It is my prayer that you never judge yourself for a mistake or giving into vicious tempts against your sake, and that you know how to give yourself grace, because that is what it means to be human. It is my prayer that you know how to rest, how to feed your soul, how to be in communication with spirit and dwell in the care of God. It is my prayer that you know that you are wonderful and that there is nothing wrong with you the way that you are. Never question whether you are enough. You are amazing. It is my prayer that God anoints our relationship and gives me the strength and the fortitude to be your mother, and for me to also develop in the ways that I pray for God to help me to develop you. My family has loved me tremendously, and God has never taken his hands off of me. I pray to be your mother and to never lose me. God has also designed me for a special purpose, and there are also great things in store for me. You are my reason, my greatest blessing. And I am glad that God saw fit for this love that I have for you to dwell and grow in me. Thank you.
It's a good doggy. It's a good doggy.
Alex loves Rufus, a Welsh Springer Spaniel. I'm frightened of dogs and in need of a manual. See, I've often drawn Rufus to understand better, but I don't share the bond that those two have together. You might think I'm silly and I'm being pedantic, but sharing bedsheets with Rufus, it's hardly romantic. Bubbles, bubbles, doggy troubles, Rufus all soaking, I'm not having a laugh. It's my jumper Alex uses to dry him after his bath. He knows me too well when he's licking his lips. I'm under his spell when I give him my chips. Be jealousy free, come out of the fog. Don't play second fiddle when it comes to a dog. You can joke with your partner, it's the doggy or me, but when they stumble to answer, it's a marriage of three. 2 weeks ago, I enter a fancy dress shop in my black Adidas trainers and green hoodie top. I say to the assistant, I'm looking for a dog suit that will fully camouflage me. Why certainly, sir. What size? She replies. I answer, oh, size extra large me. She shows me the full range of their man-sized dog suit selection. Only Welsh Springer Spaniel, I say, in my quest for perfection. Here is a picture, I need an exact copy. Big brown puppy, dog eyes please, and ears furry and floppy. You are in luck, says the assistant. One in stock, just for you. Only £200, credit card or PayPal will do. No tumble drying allowed, hand wash at 30 degrees. If the tail fails to wag properly, give this button a squeeze. What if the zip on the back breaks, me getting hotter and hotter? I'd be deep fat fried from inside, like I'm brie or ricotta. Stripped to my pants, I slip inside and zip up, but not before too long. I'm getting hot inside this pup. Not much ventilation inside this rather snug fit. Just a hole where his nose goes and where his eyes are a slit. Lesson 1, dog position. Walk around on all fours. Lesson 2, play with tennis ball, not with hands but with paws. Having completed my training, I make my way to the park. I feel a great sense of achievement when I give my first bark. Oh mummy, can I stroke him? This child persistently begs. If he tries, I'll poke him and try poo up his legs. I steal the boy's ice cream. He starts shouting, "Oi you!" I find a hole in my dog suit and pee all over his shoe. Back home, out my costume, my dog self back in its box. Later Alex comes home, asks me what kind of day I have had. I reply like I do always, oh, the usual, not bad. Sure, role play in dog suits is a whole kind of weird. Me dressed up as Rufus, Rufus with beard. I would never say to Alex, it's Rufus or Lee. I'm happy, me Alex and Rufus, and a nice cup of tea.
What if it were your people? I say that to acknowledge the fact that you don't acknowledge the fact that my people have been disenfranchised from this nation. No hope of promised reparations. And a world where the future of our black males is a multiple choice scenario of psychotropic medication, mass incarceration, destructive frustration, or the always popular all of the above. You turn a blind eye to the very things I'm speaking of. It's like, not your people, not your problem, because we are an expendable race. An expendable race. Now that kind of thinking creates civil wars and riots, got young black girls thinking they gotta go on diets to be a certain weight to get a date with a dude who according to you has a messed up attitude. Never considering why that guy is more afraid to live than he is to die. Step outside of your world long enough to see his and mine. Step outside of your skin long enough to recognize the melanin we were born in. What if it were your people? Detested by many, a suspect always, even the light-skinned cats are looking suspicious all day. What if you walk down the street to closer clutched purses, silent under the breath curses, people thinking you are only good for basketball and hip-hop verses? What if someone who looked like you was always on the news, like other races don't do stuff too?
What if it was you whose background had to be whitewashed to be accepted, who was fed the white lie that in order to not be rejected by the country you created, that your skin tone needed to be faded and then you'd be less hated and somewhat celebrated? What if you had to wave the white flag and surrender your ethnicity just to be considered for a white-collar job in the business industry? What if it were your people? Ignored in the store unless it's to be followed, pride swallowed because you have no other choice but to shop in this store, in this neighborhood, in this hood where nothing's good and there are no jobs, and if you're lucky you make it home without getting robbed. But what if your people were only seen as criminals and dealers of crack, when in fact that's the pot calling the kettle black? What if your people were seen as the black sheep of America, causing hysteria anytime they're seen in groups of more than 3? But what if I were you and you were me? Would I behave any differently? Or would I base my thoughts on only what I see? What if I wasn't the minority? What if I was an authority? Would your complexion still mean more to me? Or would I realize that there was more to see?
A molested child. Pained whimpers of a molested child keeps me awake at night. I only lose some sleep. She lost her slashed life. To the gluttonous appetite for her ovulation, wings and breast. Distraught, I saw her in mucky, cramped, stacked up crates, sunk helplessly in her own swollen weight. Spindly legs splayed. Hopelessness veneered her beady eyes, asked me many questions. I couldn't answer one right. A beautiful body, battered, bruised, bleeding. A soft bum, blistered, injured, inflamed. Exhausted from laying in many hundreds what nature intended to be only its fraction. Burnt from engulfed in fecal fumes, chest heaving, wheezing, gasping, struggling to inhale in an airless room. The barrenness of non-stop growth is startling. A lonely life, birthed many, but neither was she a mother, nor was she someone's child. Thinking of her, I drove home to a family, to a home, to my safe place. All of these brutally denied to her. Carted through one-way gates, she became someone's meal. I washed, I changed. The leaden smell surrounding her cage clung to me, like her disappointed gaze. The pained whimper of little girls snatched away gets louder in my sleep.
Hope is a bruise. Paintball pellets batter shoulders and thighs at 190 miles per hour. I count the purplish bruises and smile at the post-vision of us, toasting, laughing, being vibrantly alive. The woman who pierced my nose rushed outside afterwards for a cigarette. Whether my nostril or her nerves were to blame, we both survived an ordeal that day. I don't think of the sweat on her lip or the tears on my cheek when my jeweled black nose disrupts canonical spaces. Agony delineates childbearing from child rearing. Pain is the anticipated toll, the impossible stretch of skin and orifice, the wrenching of organs, the pinch and nip of nursing. I receive no pamphlets about the pangs of panic and impotence, the deep moral rupture when their ache explodes beyond their reach. A formation of police fired rubber bullets at my child. 200 feet per second in defense of hatred and spiteful ignorance. She raged back in protest until her throat rasped, her heels blistered, and she shattered into sobs safe inside our home, inside my arms. They gassed and maced my baby. She marched again the next day, and the next, and the next, and the next. Hope is a bruise, a nervous smoke, and an unrelenting cavalry.
Boy Meets Girl After Battle, the Ukrainian Frontier, February 24th, 2022. In the still, cold gray, the infantryman Plenkov boards an APC that is still and cold and gray. The staff sergeant Blatsky, his eyes bleary and thick with some fog of torment, barks in a hungover growl. We're going to Kyiv, boys. There are Nazis there, and we're going to clean house. But Sarge, the corpsman Vrinsky plaintively asks, you said we were just training. Last night in the mess you said... Zip it, Blatsky says, this time his growl with fuel. I do what the captain says. You do what I say. The men clamber into the harsh confines of the APC, coffin, cabin, and Plenkov's buddy Vrinsky nudges him. Look, Vrinsky grins, thumbing the screen of his smartphone, fingering lovingly the Tinder app. These Ute girls are hot, pal. We're doing these people a favor, and in a week or so when the fighting's over, we'll be doing occupation duty in nightclubs. This is going to be great. I kid you not.
Say, mirror, mirror on the wall, say, tell me what you see. Say, mirror, mirror of my soul, say, can you show me me? Mirror, mirror on the wall, say, tell me what you see. Mirror, mirror of my soul, say, can you show me me? Tell me what you see. Try my best to reflect my soul, staying true to me. Embrace my darkness like I'm running from the light. So please don't speak about my demons if you ain't joined the fight. Cause see, they stealing all my dreams, keeping me awake at night. These lines I write, manifestations of my spirit on this paper. These pages containing my soul, finally free my mind from being hostage. Finding better ways to cope with losses. Now I'm turning words into heartbeats. Rhythm and timing couldn't be better. Sometimes you gotta change up. You sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's okay to switch up. Just keep your feet moving forward and your head looking up. And know everything is in you. You're more than enough. Just keep your feet moving forward and your head looking up. And know everything is in you. Just believe in yourself. Say, mirror, mirror on the wall, say, tell me what you see. Say, mirror, mirror of my soul, say, can you show me me? I'm starting to see the final phases of myself, becoming one with God, seeing no one else, the Christ consciousness from mindset. See clearly where your mind's at, speak freely when you found that. I found freedom when I found that. I saw God and he smiled back like he was never frowning, like he was never doubting, like it was something about me. Now I finally see as God sees, true seeing, pure being. I done found my essence, ain't no second guessing, ain't no need to question, nope. Shapeless, formless introspection. Pure and blameless perceives perfection. Beyond conception is that which is true. Beyond perception is that which is you. Beyond the person is that which is proof. Come out of your realities and what you understand is truth. Remove the plank from your eye and maybe you can see this truth. You and I are just the same, there is no I in you. See yourself in everyone, I see myself in you. So let your soul reflect this world and let that mirror show you you. I said, see yourself in everyone, I see myself in you. So let your soul reflect this world and let that mirror show you truth. Say, mirror, mirror on the wall, say, tell me what you see. Mirror, mirror of my soul, say, can you show me me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you so much.
Without depth, there is no perception. Without perception, you're constantly searching for the intersection to make the turn. Turning into a brick wall that was the call of a screwball that ended with a firewall blockade of emotions, whispering to my fears through all the commotion to drive me to insanity. And you left without me. I just lost wanting to be made presentable to nobody, completely dressed to impress, with no +1, just a plus less. Like the rest, they hear, but don't hear with me, frequently shattering the glass fragility of one wish. What do you dream of? Me? Lost in reality. I don't exist. Did you miss me? Fears approaching with the coaching of cyber surfing. A perfect, I wanted to be me, imperfectly pretty, imperfectly witty, imperfectly empty. Deeply drained, hook chain of chasing you. What is a lost cause? Not recognizing the minimizing of a decision. Where should I go? Searching and blurring the graffiti scars tagged by you from the hearsay of tongues that don't even know me. You stranded my feelings for you with a no way. I got lost in no way out. I won't honor you. I'm lost in my feelings for you.
I would like to thank everyone in this difficult time. Y'all been rocking with me for the last few years, but my time is coming. I didn't have to check my watch because my grandfather sounds like trumpets. This victory lap isn't my first. I hit a few fly balls which caused me to double back, but this time I'm right on track, ready to slide home. I let them say whatever behind my back, knowing they dead wrong, but actions speak louder, so this greatness they really egged on. A lot that did me dirty, but I never cracked under the pressure, never reacted, really just had to turn my back. I kind of wish I could rewind to adjust some decisions that had some baggage attached, like when I competed when I shouldn't have, or that time when I deleted what I should have had. I was mistreated, which led me to a different path, and I can say I'm better off for it. I always drove at my own pace. I never had to floor it, but swerve from lane to lane, trying to get a better view of what was in front of me. I remember I used to tell her all the time that being in the present is a luxury, so live luxurious in my company. Our business is always private, no need for the press release to the public just yet. We gotta give them some time that unfortunately isn't in my favor. I was just searching for the flavor of love that equated to mine. I tried to do better for everyone else at least. Better understanding of self didn't start until as of late, and lately I've been getting back into his word, speaking through me, using my gift to get better at words. Can't you see the improvement? My movements has been discreet. My love was felt even it was the first time I had the pleasure to meet. My heartbeat was the best thing I felt every day. So appreciate the little things. I always pursued the little dreams to build that momentum, to use your inner wings. Unfortunately, I won't be there to see them grow and fly, but I know you on to better things. I love...
Death by a Salesman. The action takes place at a local Michigan livestock auction. It happens every Tuesday. The curtain rises on this less than poetic pageantry. The actors pulled from their cages and stalls, prodded forth for a final curtain call before the lights forever fade to black. On what I wish were only fiction, A theater of emotionless judgment sits inspecting each angle, each frame. How could someone be on full display and still not be seen at all, except as an item, a commodity, a check on a list? They see their flesh, but not their fear, their height, but not their heart, their weight, but not their will to live. The auctioneer sets the minimum bid for a life already battered, and the eager crowd decides when to raise a hand to up the ante. One after the next led across the stage in rapid succession, some barely able to walk. As death is auctioned to the highest bidder. Like Willie Loman, dipped in ketchup, valued more by the world in death. The Grim Reaper in white apron waiting eagerly in the wings. There will be no burial, as the only thing these humans will bury is their teeth into their next bite. The cries and blood will occur off stage. The curtain falls, fade to black. Stabbing ensues. Silverware clinks.
Liquid energy fueling human life forces are identical. Love's pigment dances, coloring veins equally. Some choose to feel red. Discrimination clouds gray matter, piercing hearts with hostility. Blacklisted fall prey to whitewashed realities, corrupting blue lines. Melanated beings feel privilege as spectators in the game. Generations of injured souls cry out from above and below ground. Black people don't bleed black. White people don't bleed white. Rubies percolate. Puncturing digits, personal skin jabs, same hue, crimson shaded twins. Childish innocence sipped from fabled fountains of youth could quench world hate. Thanks to fearless friends who prick their fingers for you. Did you get the point? 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 This has been a test conducted by One Single Roses. We should love everyone broadcasting system.
Next one's crisis writing number 27, also titled, I love black people. You know how people say they love candles, but they really mean they love how candles smell when they're burning? Find some sick, excited peace in watching the body of the candle droop down under the weight of itself. You love candles. When they burn, their scents are so strong, their light is so illuminating. Watching the flame flick over the wick is so exciting. There's nothing better than the way the flame beats at the candle, right? Leaves no choice but to soften, liquefy, bend over, surrender. You love candles. You could breathe in the smoke of their burning bodies all day. You love candles. I've seen you weeping over a candle burning out for the last time. A puddle, a burning nub of a wick. So sad to see a candle gone, but not sad enough to reach down and try to snuff out the flame because that flame was what made it so beautiful in the first place. You love candles, so you buy another, and you light another, and another, and you consume, and consume, and consume, and we burn, and we melt, and we burn, and we melt, and we burn, and we melt, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat.
They said I could be line leader today. And I've been waiting all semester. They kept giving it to Victoria, Freddie, and Chester. They said I did a great job this week. Did all my homework and turned in my Belle worksheets. Even raised my hand to speak, moved all the desks and made sure they didn't squeak. And they said they served pizza at lunch. I love it so much, especially with that big old crust. But they said we gotta be quiet. A weird bell sound off, but we not leaving. A lot of kids screaming, their voices so loud I thought they all was singing. They say cover your ears so you don't be scared of the loud pops. They say it'll be okay, but the screams don't stop. And the teachers are crying. They say go ahead and sit in the corner, but it's hot like a sauna and the windows won't open. They said I was going to be line leader today, but I'm scared, and I don't think I want to. In memory of the innocent lives lost to senseless gun violence. See, playgrounds don't play around. See, it's a training ground now. Yeah. Say around lunchtime, recess becomes the front line against the invisible battleground against the cat gown. Now, let me explain. I don't look at monkey bars the same. Those bars increase arms and kids so they have the strength to hold on to ledges and open windows and if necessary to drop down in the hedges. Merry-go-rounds become the last-ditch effort to avoid the burial grounds. Translation: there's no time wasting. Avoiding bullets in rotation require hand, eye, and foot coordination. Freeze tag is perfect for staying quiet, staying still when the active shooter is looking for their next kill and red light, green light don't seem right. You have to know how to stop on a down when running for cover in the right time and hopscotch. Fuck, hopscotch. Hopscotch teaches your baby how to hop and stop from a leg shot, and that's not enough. Hide and seek isn't for the weak, but it requires you to be meek. Find a dark closet, don't speak, don't peek, so you won't be the next victim that you won't see, because the same police that put the run up on an unarmed black man in fear for their own life won't use that fucked up advice to save the child's life. So that playground's a playground. It's a training ground. It's special. Especially when your child has to be their own search and rescue.
Queen City, quite the moniker for a town brimming with beautiful African American women. Women who exude love and support for family and community. Women who lead during the toughest of times. Women who aren't afraid to make history. Wait, I meant to say her story. These queens of Charlotte include Hattie Walker, who grew up during the 1960s, when the mire of segregation washed over our nation, leaving restrooms, water fountains, and job opportunities separate and subpar. But Hattie refused to be subjugated, a young woman concealing her trepidation behind a well-manicured facade, as she took part in Charlotte's first sit-in. With threat of bodily harm and jail time looming, Hattie placed her pride, her body, and her life on the line, exposing the festering sore known as segregation, as she claimed rights that would be inherited by generations, all because she understood that representation equals power. After the death of her father, Dovey Johnson Roundtree and her family were left alone to fight through poverty, only worsened by the shackles of Jim Crow. But Dovey never capitulated. Determined to succeed, she worked her way through Spelman College. And then she found herself fighting discrimination in our very own armed forces. Now, did she give up? Did she fall silent? No, she became the lawyer who filed suit ending segregation on interstate buses. All because she understood that representation equals power. Some of you might think that the old saying, reading is fundamental, is a bit cliche. But there was a time when blacks learning to read was punishable by death. And that was because the people in power thought that there was nothing more dangerous than a Negro that could read. And that was because even they understood that representation equals power. That's right. That's right. That leads us to Allegra Westbrook. As a child, she was drawn to the beautiful garden of wisdom that her mother planted. She dreamt of crossing the magical threshold of the segregated library. She longed to reach the sweet nectar of knowledge held between the beautifully bound books kept just outside her reach. And as an adult, not only did she cross that threshold, she became Charlotte's first African-American library supervisor and established mobile libraries to serve the communities from which she came, because she understood as well that representation equals power. Ella Scarborough had to fight from the moment of her birth. Premature and in distress, Ella was denied access to the nearest emergency room. That is, until the cries of her father, "I refuse to let my baby die," knocked down the segregated doors off the hinges. And from that day forward, Ella's wake swept over Charlotte like a wave clearing out a battered sea. Ella became the first African-American female to be elected to Charlotte City Council and was the first African-American woman to serve as vice chair. All this because she understood maybe a little bit more than everybody else that representation equals power. Viola Alexander Lyles, Charlotte's first African-American female mayor, learned resilience at an early age while growing up in a large family rooted in faith. There she developed the strength she would need to survive many trials and tribulations, trials that would mold her into a woman that would make her story. By winning that very first election, then Mayor Lyles went on to win again and again, winning second and third terms as mayor of Charlotte, one of the fastest growing cities in America. And when mothers bring their daughters to visit her, she looks at them in the eyes and says, I may be mayor, but you can be governor or even president. And right she is. And all the praise belongs to those like Hattie Walker, Dovey Johnson Roundtree, Allegra Westbrook, Ella Scarborough, and Mirabai Lyles, our motivators, protectors, ancestors, queens of Charlotte and beyond, who understood, dreamed, and achieved because they understood without a doubt that representation equals power. Thank you.
I often wish black kids came with a respawn. I figure we entitled at least one. I think it's the most creative thing to do on account of how long the world has been playing Call of Duty with black lives. A black kid takes 6 bullets to the chest, only to respawn in the safety of his mother's arms. If only it was so simple. In real life, black kids play co-op campaigns on these corners. Split screens, ducking black ops, squad cars come in duos, gangs come in quads. This is modern warfare. Free falls from badge bearers out here trying to get their ranks up. Souls get lost in this battlefield. Torn between the lives that mothers wanted to provide and the results of the lives chosen form. Have you ever been dropped in a game where the rules are made up as you go? By some out-of-touch 80-year-old who can't tell the difference between a tweet and a text message, or a juggernaut who won't stop to decipher a Smith & Wesson from an OtterBox. No gulag, no parachute drops, no hope for a respawn. A kid in a town 40 minutes from my home just took 90 fucking rounds from the same holsters that was supposed to protect him. I was too desensitized to crime. I hail from a city where the murder rate is usually top 5 and is not 5. Has it ever occurred to you that we carry guns not as a symbol of our toughness, but as a constant reminder that we've been conditioned to live in fear? Black boys walk around heads on swivels, especially ones who don't carry pistols. Boys walk around up in arms, afraid to end up like Trayvon, or Tamir, or Timothy Russell, or Walter Scott, or Stephon Clark, every other black boy who got gunned down and couldn't put in a keep code for a respawn, because what happens when the police go on the kill streak? In most cases, administrative leave, occasional suspensions, relocations. Who intervenes when you need a little revival? Because in real life, black kids play Call of Duty on hardcore. Lieutenants hopping out of Tahoes, max ammo, insta-kills on the brain, colonels out here gunning niggas down like extra lives come with the battle pass. What happens to the lives of those left behind? Moms on the curb crying, futile tears in her eyes, rocking a baby boy in hopes of a respawn. That survivor's remorse, fuel suicidal thoughts. Pick your pledge. Death by DEA, slain by a SWAT team. Take your oath, cadet. Fulfill your Call of Duty, nigga. This your finest hour. Red roses, damp shoulders, another funeral to cry over, hear me out. Alternative. New faces, new cases and court dates, but as long as death or prison is your final destination, well, at least you fulfilled your Call of Duty, nigga.
Please think about it. Nowadays we need to make a stark choice whenever we consider socializing. Do we listen to that smug, niggling voice which questions the wisdom of us mingling? Are a few hours of party atmosphere worth weeks of sore throat and shortness of breath, fever, headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, coughing and spitting, and possibly death? If you meet people you really adore, and joy abounds all the time you are there, and you don't want to leave but still want more, it may be worthwhile, but please be aware, Old Hat Reserve has gone. Oh, it was bliss. And now we're expected to hug and kiss.
Compromising love is what you learn as an orphan. Complicated love and never know what love is worth. And hanging on to love cause love it always seems in short supply. Accepting any love cause good love to you has been denied. Holding on to love even when love feels like a curse. Is it really love? Unlike a bullet wound that shit, it hurts the history of love. When your black is rooted in pain, hanging on to love even with your body bound in chains. Is it really love when freedom's not an option? Love is cruel when they sell your mother at the auction. What the fuck is love when they stripped all your dignity? What the fuck is love when they erased all your history? Ingredients of love they hid it, left you with this bitter bread. The love they left you with is love for who they are instead. So where the fuck is love when you're alone in the mirror? Is it really love when it obscures instead of making clear reflection that you see is reflection of the love you know? Is it really love when it leaves you all alone? Is it really loving when it leaves you all alone? I'm learning real love is a space you hold inside yourself, grounded in your faith and body journey toward mental health. Forgiving yourself for the ways you are imperfect. You're the body of God. That alone it makes you worth it. Follow the flow is the lesson learned from nature. Mimicking the river, moon, and stars, they are our saviors. Alkaline your body, building new neural pathways. Yesterday was bloody, but tomorrow pray for sunny days. Joy come in the morning, if the night you do due diligence. Realizing perfect living, hell can turn to heaven. Say love has left us raw. Yeah, that shit is self-evident, but trusting in yourself is how you set that new precedent. Generation trauma, yo, that's all they had to pass down. Healing is karma, we can leave it in the past now. Ahead this new horizon, brilliant suns full of ghetto life. 400 years, but freedom starts tonight. After 400 years, maybe freedom starts tonight. After 400 years, freedom starts tonight.
You nitpick the pieces of our culture off a menu like appetizers because you can't stand the heat in our kitchen. You sip our Kool-Aid and think our flavor becomes a part of your DNA. But this here sugar comes from fields when we were forced to be slaves. So my anger traces back to a time when I was mere property, not treated properly, raped and beaten. Tell master get off of me because I can't breathe. Black girl becomes black wife that raises black kids. At least that's the plan for parenthood. Except they want to sterilize us and plant those Planned Parenthoods, kill and lock away our men. So head of house becomes my new job. So we're mourning them while still fighting for equal pay. Walking into work with a smile that quickly fades because you asked that stupid question. Can I touch your hair? Not knowing I had to tame the very essence of who I am just to ease your corporate stares. Every day I fight a battle against racism, colorism, sexism at the same time. I mean, why do I have to fight to be heard in a world I helped design? And I hesitate to utter the words be safe with fear on the tip of my tongue because I really want to say as a black man, just try and make it home while praying I make it too. Because they're not just killing black men, but women with multi-melanated hues. Sometimes I ask God, does he hear angry prayers too? But catch this. My black is beautiful. Strength, clothed in confidence, but I can't even tell my sister how dope she is. Her valid anger still blocks my compliments. See, she think I'm being funny. Because she's had friends that dragged her name through the mud, so now it's no new friends, even when it's all love, but she can't see that. Because to be black and woman means to be constantly criticized. I mean, so much so we got those comebacks memorized. And I know it sounds cliche, but you will never understand unless you walk a mile in my shoes. But since you can't, this will just be another black girl rant. No breaking news. Fighting to be black and woman while those who aren't black
Or a woman try to write my story, but you're illiterate to my plight. My pain is poetry. My voice is music. My beauty is art to anyone with real sight. And I don't mean to be overly aggressive, but this here is layered anger, and it ain't happen overnight.
The lady who lives in the woods is getting along in age, though not as much as if she'd lived these years in the city, where life would have been softer, and her body long on aches, squatting on the unused landscape. She dresses warmer now for the months of chill and damp, favors shade when the heat is full, sleeps well, but rises early to make the most of time's more reckless speed. The years for raising foals are long behind. The needs and memories of mares and stallions settled, if not yet dusty. And so she takes an old gelding to shape, to work with, training it to her ways. There's white snow on the ground today, gray mist in the air beneath the hidden sun. Her companion's coat shines as bright and neat as hers is dark and right, as both their breaths are clear and clean with the effort made to be together.
So Spell to Return Love to Me, recipe written by Nina Simone, South of France, 1992. Go back to Tryon, to North Carolina, on the night of a tent revival, to the field where it happened after it has emptied, to the spot where God is lingering, catching his breath to depart, and put your pot there. Take off all your clothes, your underthings, leave on your pumps, black patent leather, bathe in moon. Let a breeze sweep away any fear hanging from you. Take a hand of zoysia grass seed, a lost bit of coal, a yellowed scrap of bark, a tube of cake, mascara, a prick of blood, a glass of champagne, a sprinkle of rhinestones, the pieces of the old white things you took and smashed. Fire up the pot, mix the unction, cook it quick, let it cool slowly. Take and rub it into the torn out hunks of your lonely heart. Gather them in a sweaty handkerchief, then again in a silk head wrap, tie it off with the string of a black baby grand, place it in a rich bitch pocketbook. Take it to Bernard's Beach, stand with it in the sand at dawn, hold it up to the sun, then out to the ocean, set it on the water. Use the power of your 10 relentless fingers that fought against ordinariness, meaninglessness, artlessness, and sing. Anything you want, anything that you deem holy, anything that feels at home in your mouth, something to expel your regrets, something to remind you how to hope, something clean of all the shit of money and fame. Use the joy of your absolute genius, the pride in your little girl. Use your hatred of Nina and her betrayal of Eunice. Use your hatred of Eunice and her betrayal of Nina. Use every atom of jazz living in your magnificent goddamn body. Watch as your heart floats away from you. Camp out. Wait. Rock to the ticking of the clock that has always moved you, ages ahead of everyone else. Wait. Use your freedom for yourself this time. And when your heart floats back to you, home to you, soaked in your magic, delight in it, finally, know that you are the prize and always have been. Andy was wrong. The music was right.
All right.
Love.
Love is a compilation of you and I. Now, if you take away the why, you have we. We. Not like the traditional we, but, you know, different spelling, different meaning, different language, but it sounds the same. Kind of hard to explain. But anyway, if you ever have any doubt in your mind and ask me if I love you, I'll look you in your eye, smile, and say, we.
Mentors and guides. To my mentors and guides, caring less for life inveterate than my decay, your brightness, warm and bonny in the sun, enlivening, you share the shining plough, and handcarts from old testaments ablaze with an ancient jealousy of ours, would rather be among the cats, lazing in the afternoon, than beaming at each other in the universal lack of progress. How bleak and long that is, when to be haunted by what's done is bad enough. You're looking good. Hard-driven age has left behind old company, and I love your stricken ways. Your talk is so much less devout than stewardship of me. I never thought it was self-pity. By the lightness of your tread, I knew that you were solid. Slow to learn that you are plagued by ghosts, whose purpose weirdly shines on us. Can you for a while forget that hurtful light which stretches out? Aren't we all suspended in one single Arctic ray? Those still alive, my mentors and my ghosts.
Now, many of you may or may not know I take pride in my Nigerian culture's accent, food, and language. You will learn some of my Igbo today, which is my native tongue. I also take pride in informing people about Nigeria's corruption, politics, warfare, skin bleaching, and sex trafficking. Thanksgiving is Nigeria's independence from Chinese commercial ties and armed military allies, from petroleum-sucking leeches, from Black China's whitenicious, fictitious, bootylicious skin bleaching, from physician politicians injecting Biafran wounds with extrajudicial killings, sex trafficking, slave marketing, our young kings and queens in Benin exploiting their hopes and dreams with low self-esteem, impregnating Sarah across the Sahara, threatening to kill her offspring in Italy if she leaves. Thanksgiving is Nigeria's repentance. Biko is please in Igbo. Forgive us, God, for we have sinned. We disobeyed the strength in our origin. Please, give us our power and light back. Clean the dirty air, Lord, from crime, fraternities, eternity, juju, voodoo, immortality, and police brutality. Lead us not into the false idolism of America. Wash our hands from the blood of Niger Delta. Deliver us from greed, culture, poverty, and poor infrastructure. For this is the kingdom of glory in the oil of all of Africa. Amen. Let's eat at the table of courage. Unite. Recite the vision, clap back at the British colonists who manipulate us to believe we lacked, at all the countries who whisper we are too weak to attack, at the fake leaders who lied and backtracked, at anyone who says we cannot get it clean. Mechanu, that's shut up in evil. Pass me the pepper soup with the goat head. We about to turn the heat up. Melted butter and a gege bread. Pounded yam and a goosey. Chin chin up for our legacy. No more chaos, no more controversy. Bachata anyagi, the proverb of my ancestors. Open your eyes and foresee. Fried puff puff plantain porridge. Never poor, forever rich. In knowledge, in language. Straight savage, cow foot meat top. Pass me the red stew and the jollof. Enough is enough. They've been eating off our plates long enough. Stirring the pot with no Maggie long enough. Chewing on foo-foo long enough. We gave blood, but it wasn't enough. Disrespecting our culture. Enough is enough. Thanksgiving is white rice, sauteed in Nigeria's south. You taste that? Ooh.
Today, I own something and cannot fathom the distance from the people who first footed soil here and the last ones buried beneath it. Another male solicitation swooning me, the homeowner, to purchase something only homeowners buy. A home that mental illness builds is a home with no walls, is vast, swallows light, sometimes names darkness comfort, calls God absent every day, fires him for no call, no show, scratches at his skin and begs him thinner, says abomination and means his own name, watches boys jump into cars and disappear forever, turns their names to television static, severs a mother's love from her son, shatters every mirror. The home depression built me, a cold death on a warm summer night, a statuesque woman with a deep voice and money thick as summertime midnight, a bus home for the boy with none to return to. A fist flies from a mother's mouth, and the homeless boy wonders if all dogs do go to heaven. He barks his fear and wags his tail to warm floors or couches or wherever tiny round toys bounce when they are lost and forgotten. When he remembers the men who tasted like escape, the boys who told him he is unnatural and then created unnature with him. His first kiss, who wouldn't call him black. The man who told him he looked like a crack baby. The friendship wrecks along a beach of jagged bones, the shape of laughter. The sad, 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 sad tale of how every brick in every city had victim written on it, and they fell to his feet to spell his name like a gravestone. The house depression builds must be torn down nail by nail with the teeth. I lived in a tattered home for years until I yanked the name victim off my scars and found the jagged letters spelled victory. I became a shout from an angel's trumpet, told God I am alive, and that's just enough for me. I bought a house and then I decided to live in it. I decided to live instead of survive. All that depression says I can do is survive, and now I know the lie of survival. How it is saccharine posing as sugar. How sweet it is to romanticize my pain and know it is all fake. I am not alive because of all the ways the world has tried to kill me. I am not alive because of all the ways it failed. I am not alive by all the ways I survived. I am alive because of all that I lived. How my nephew's laughter sounded like stay. How my best friends resurrect me and do not call me Lazarus. How my mother never left but only stood still as I drove toward adulthood, and objects in the mirror appear smaller than they are now. How love kept whispering, enough, 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 not because I had enough, but because I was enough. I was a homeless boy on dangerous, hungry streets. No teeth, but all swallow. And I own a home now. Found a sort of life that is my own. One where I do not fear the dark, but I laugh in it. Like a nephew that only knows how to joy at his uncle. This is where all of the God has been. Not in survival, but in living at all. It is not depression's job not to be heavy. It is my job to learn how to lift it so I can walk home. I do not live in the darkness that lives in me. I live in all the ways love has said stay. Worthy, enough, godchild, starboy, clean, whole, worthy, light, alive.
What they don't tell you is even after the deluge feels like it's subsiding, the wind throws your healing aside, brings flood to your doorstep, to your basement memories, drowns your garden beds. What they don't tell you is you will witness breakdown, theirs in a room scented in sterility and finality, your own on a bus or train on the way to say, I honor you. What they don't tell you is that you can feel it even before the last lights go out, that it will not be policed, even by self, that every memory is a brick in a twisting path that you pray, you hope, you reason, you unreason. What no one tells you about the grief is that it has no edges. How hard is it to see a horizon? No road signs, creaking bridges, same shitty drainage you notice as you seek shelter from a new downpour. An abandoned house filled with old games and paintings and conversations. But in that old building, you sit and feel cool air and mist through a broken window, and you find small sanctuary, reclaim heartbeat. You will accept quiet over peace long enough to feel their ubiquity. And this is why you don't sleep.
Digging in the crates. Or was I time traveling? Searching for that soft crackle, the much preferred sound of needle on vinyl. A jazz tune playing softly in the background was the soundtrack to our lives. Digging in the crates. Or was I time traveling? Searching for the descendants of the Harlem Renaissance, that first generation after we found our voice. Jazz was our griot that memorized our names and documented our lineage and its rhythms, telling our stories from Africa to America in drum beats and heartbeats, in spirituals and folk marches, documenting black spirit using only the black keys, from the blues to ragtime to hard times and good times, remembering long bus rides, the warmth of other suns in greasy brown paper bags. I was digging in the crates, time traveling. Searching for the place where pyramids, mud huts, and tenements exist concurrently within the same 5 lines, where every song is a conversation, every instrument contributes to the story, staves, notes, and clefs are hieroglyphs that document the greatness of our story. But you gotta connect in spirit to understand the conversation, baby. In the background, a horn asked permission to contribute to the story while I was digging in the crates, traveling to the place where the walking bass replaced the tuba on the bandstand and tormented souls become genius in expression, when love was always complicated, but we didn't give up on each other. We were all we had, and we were enough. I was digging in the crates. I found my grandparents in their heyday. They didn't have much, but they were proud and they were emerging. My mother, a little girl, all pressed hair, saddle shoes, and petticoats. Back when you dressed up to go downtown because Black America had something to prove. I found my grandfather's gate in the bass line of a jazz tune. Smooth, steady, and keeping the family's time. I found my uncle on piano, playing a jaunty tune, witty and sarcastic, mocking our tragedy so that we never take ourselves too seriously. I found my grandmother's passion in the rim shot of a drum solo, the heartbeat of the family, full of booms, clashes, and escalations that mimic thunder and lightning, or the finale of a fireworks show. And yes, Langston, a dream deferred does explode. And then there's my mother, wailing like a siren, a horn flare, fire, guttural, urgent, trapped between tradition and destiny, and all she could do was wail. I was digging in the crates, listening for that story Jazz the Griot told me about jam sessions and intimate smoky nightclubs where musicians don't have to know each other to cipher. Improvisation is encouraged, and it don't matter if you don't have the horn you need to make the sound you want. Just scat that part. And if you brought your axe and you know what you're doing, just jump on it and get some. I was digging in the crates, listening for our stories sewn into the fabric of the music when they talked about my grandmother's home cooking for members of Ellington's band while they crashed at our house during road trips because they couldn't stay at the hotel they just played at. Jazz the Griot, tell me that story again. When Paul Gonsalves fell into the Christmas tree after partying too hard with my granddad, because we don't have the pictures anymore. They were lost in the fire, so I was digging in the crates, searching for the time Jazz the Griot told of my future present existence brooding in the minor keys. I was digging in the crates, searching for purpose, taking comfort in our stories, feeling a little less alone. I was digging in the crates, channeling advice from adultier adults than myself. I was time traveling because that's the only place where they're all still alive, still well, and their world was still full of possibilities. I was digging in the crates because I miss them. Hush now, don't explain. She's glad you came. She's glad you're back. Don't explain. Quiet. Don't explain. Just say you remain. She's glad you're back. Don't explain.
Yeah, just restart that after we're done laughing.
Okay.
1985 was a really strange year. Mama bought a station wagon and Daddy was tense with fear. He started drinking more, he started staying out late. Mama got an accounting job and quit the PTA. Oh, 1985. Oh, 1985 was a really strange watching Superman, 'cause I didn't feel much like a kid. But in the night when I was all alone, I did. She was putting on her red dress. She said, you gotta get a pizza tonight. I'm not staying in the house depressed.